Good morning, flower friends. This is the first week of June. I'm a little early in getting this. Usually I'd wait to the end of the week, but there's so much in full bloom, and we're gonna get like 92 today and 90 something tomorrow. So some things might go over, meaning they'll be done blooming really quick, and I wanted to capture them for you. Many more of my iris are blooming, bunch in the front, bunch in the side, and some roses are blooming. And I have a new oriental poppy that is just doing gorgeous, and I'll get you a close-up of that too. So let's get started in our usual route. And I'm going to be quick through this, and then I'm going to take you up front and to the side. There's nothing really new going on down here in my staging area. There's still a lot of things I got to get planted out. Hostas are just getting bigger. And I have my roses I took cuttings from down there, and they're still doing great. Let me get you closer, a little bit closer to many of these plants over here. Let me see. I'm going to take you up even closer to my rose, the Princess Alexandra of Kent rose. But let me see if I can zoom in a bit on that iris. Isn't that gorgeous? See the Princess Alexandra of Kent rose right there. Pretty good. They're just such gorgeous roses. Such a different color of pink that is so unusual. I'm going to put you down here, point you down a little further, and you can see this is the rose that I had to save from gophers eating it. And it's just in a little pot, but it's just doing beautiful. I need to get it out in the ground. This is called Candyland, and it's just beautiful in the coloration, and it's pretty tough too. I mean, it grows very well, nice and tall when it's in the ground, but it recovered from being gnawed to death. I have a whole blog post and video, I think, on how I saved that rose after I discovered it was pretty gnawed on. Let's head on over to this point right here. And let's see, I don't know how far. Well, let's just go over there. You can see the petunias in the centerpiece are beginning to bloom a little bit. I have a new urn in the top my sister brought for me at a yard sale, and I love it. I don't know what I'm going to put in it yet. Let's just walk up a little bit closer. Do you see that? Beautiful. And the Asiatic lilies are doing great. And down there is the violas are kind of not liking the heat we've had, but they'll recover as soon as it cools down. And or I'll just give them a trim back and let the petunias take over for a while. The petunias will shade them, and then the violas will rebloom in the fall, which makes for a nice continuation of color. Despite the heat, the lettuce is still doing great. Fantastic. You can peek down there and you can see, let's see if I can zoom in a bit. That's my pretty and pink Eden. I'm hoping, I did put it in the ground, that's why I'm really hoping the gophers stay away, because I don't want them to nibble on it. So I knew I was taking a chance, and I'm trying to keep a close eye. Oh, I was going to show you. Here's the iris. See if I can get that to focus. That one's more purple, lavender around the edge than the one behind it. You see the one behind it's more blue. So it's a nice little contrast between the two. There's a foxglove back there getting ready to bloom. Let me zoom back out. Everything's going great. My James Galway rose back there is blooming, starting to bloom. But here's my Hyde Hall behind my not Claudia, I always want to call Claudia my Olivia Rose Austin. It's looking a little beat up, this one, but it didn't like it when it was warm, and then we'd had a couple nights of freezing temperatures, so that's why the rose looks a little well worn. But my Hyde Hall behind it, I always loved these roses. I had a hedge of them along the back fence, and I had to dig them up because of the gophers, and I put this one in a big pot up here. The other ones are in the front in a barrel, but it's just loving it here and just full of blooms. I'm hoping it gets taller where it'll get to the top of the fence. I think as long as I take good care of it, it will. But look at these blue irises right here. Just a mass of color. Gorgeous, gorgeous. So there's a pretty one that I wanted to show you further down. So let's go down there. Here we are at it right there. It's that peachy one with a lavender edging. Isn't that just gorgeous? I love that one. I have two blooms. One's behind the pot. And then you see my foxgloves are blooming. Now, if you see my video from last year, and I'll put a link to it in the description box, my foxgloves were 6 feet tall. They were taller than me. This year, they're all staying short. They're barely reaching 4 feet, and that is from the lack of rain we had this winter. So they're staying much shorter than usual. Let me move you over so you can see the one behind. Isn't that pretty? And then right next to it, well, behind it first, let's not get ahead of ourselves. I always do. Sentimental Rose is blooming beautifully. That's in a pot, and it seems to love it in that pot. So it's doing great right back there. It sits on the wall that divides the veggie garden, potager, and this secret garden. Back there peeking through. Look, isn't that gorgeous? I love those poppies, 2 of them, blooming just tremendously. And then there's the foxglove in front of it. Let me zoom back out. And then this, I divided this, and look, it is still so full. I love the irises that just seem to thrive and just go bonkers and do beautifully. As I turn to the right, you'll see another set that's doing the same. This is the same one that's over by the studio, and it does just beautifully. And then there's the one behind it. Even though you think that blue back there was the same as the other one, it's not. It's a little bit different. So just a variation in color. So let's go around to the side. These are some gorgeous iris that are in my side garden. Look at that golden one. It's almost, I don't know, should be named lion's mane or something. And then there's the pretty vintage yellow one behind, and the purple and white is also a vintage. And then the one behind, very far behind, is the same as in the secret garden. Let me bring it up here. So that one is also, I've noticed that a lot of my ones, I had in here some pretty orange ones and whatever are missing, so I'm not sure when I was transferring everything because of gophers what happened, but so we'll go along here. This one, let me get it in the camera a little better, is called Champagne Elegance. And I got that one from a flower farm over by Fairfield, where they had all the fires last year, the wildfires. And this flower farm iris farm got burned out, which is so, so sad. So hopefully they're recovering. I haven't checked on them lately, and then some of my vintage grape scented ones are behind. And I'll turn you around to my right or left, and you can see what's going on over there. As far as iris, a really, really pretty pink one that I just love. Pink with some edging, lavender edging. And there we go. That one's just gorgeous. It looks like it has tons back in there. And then beside it, or behind it, I'll zoom you in there. That one is one that people are not able to find. It is called Prince Edward, Prince George. I'll have to look it up now. Anyways, so it seems like I have one of the few left around. So, but it's a pretty one, and it looks like it's putting on some extra increase. I don't have very many right now, so hopefully it'll increase this year. I'll just leave it alone, and that way it'll do its thing, and then I'll have plenty more next year. Next spring and summer. I wanted to show you my rose that I have growing up on my trellis, or up my porch. Isn't that gorgeous? That's the one we dug up in my grandparents' garden when we sold their home. And it's very special to me. I have no idea. They always called it a blaze, and it may be a blaze, but they love that rose. It was out by their well house. There we go. That's a really pretty one. I don't remember the name. I have the tags, and I need to go find them, relearn the names. I used to know all the names, but I've gotten so many, I don't even know what they are. So to the right over here is, no, that's the left. Sorry, I get my right and left confused all the time. Is my new dahlia bed. I just put some of the dahlias out there. I had to line the bottom with the hardware cloth, which is the mesh, wire mesh, and it prevents the gophers from coming up and eating them. Right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in there. I think I could fit a couple more safely. And then I will make sure I put in some supports for them. And then we'll have some glorious dahlias this summer. I need to shade them a little bit. They're getting a little scorched with this high heat, but only because they've been fresh planted. It takes the roots a while to be able to absorb enough water when they're freshly planted. So I need to, like I said, shade them. But here's my Dreamweaver Rose, and it's just been gorgeous. I need to get that support behind it so it's not bowing down, because then I can't really see the roses, but I'll get to that. It's been crazy in the garden. Sounds like a siren already this morning. We heard a lot over the weekend, but we're not too far from the fire station. So here is this bed. I've planted in this bed lots of drought-tolerant flowers like salvias, agastache, and things like that. I have lots of daisies in here. Black-eyed Susans are coming up. I have the lupin. Look at this pretty lupin. Pretty lupin coming up. But pretty, and I have still my roses in the barrels too there. So these are the 2 roses that I put into these wine half barrels and put up a Clematis in with each. My Tess d'Iberville, and they're just loving it. I moved them last fall, and they just seem to be thriving. Not even missing a beat as far as bloom. Let's get up a little bit closer. Okay, we're right up on the Dreamweaver Rose, and if you can see, let me see if I can get over there and show you. I need a cameraman. Anyways, right here is this is the double Belle of Walking Clematis. And here's another bloom, and it's vining up here, it's going up over there, and climbing up the trumpet vine that's in that barrel. I try to keep the trumpet vine under control. I've been trying to make it into a standard like a tree instead of vining all over. It got so messy looking as a vine on my porch post, so I'm trying to train it. I seen it at a local winery in their gardens, and I just loved it, trained as a standard or tree. Now down here, this is my Drinks at Sunset. I had identified one further up as Drinks at Sunset, and I was incorrect. This is Drinks at Sunset. And behind it is my Abraham Darby rose in that pot. It's struggling to come back. It got eaten to a nub by the gophers, but it's full of blooms. They're a little singed from that little freeze we had, but it's still blooming. Let's go back over here. I wanted to get you closer up to the Tess Rose that's blooming, and my kitty over there, I don't know if you can see her. She's over there romping around. I think she's something else on the neighbor's property. But there's my Tess Rose doing beautifully. This thing, I had one of them in the back by my studio, and it just blooms all summer long. I just love it. And these bright red, gets very tall. That's why I have the obelisk for it. I found out this is really a topiary form, but it works great as an obelisk. And the clematis in there are doing great. The sweet peas I planted in there from seed are struggling a little bit, but they're growing. I think the daffodil leaves are still blocking the light pretty much, so they're not getting as much as they would like. I need to look at those. Aren't they gorgeous? That white with the bright yellow trim, and then the orangey yellow beards. Just fantastic. Just beautiful. Now this is one next to it is the one that I had identified as Drinks at Sunset, and that's not it. It's a little bit different than I think than my Sultan, and this is one that has the horns. And go along here, that barrel got emptied, or tub. I need to get some stuff to plant in it. But over here in front of my porch, this is one of my peonies blooming. This is not the ones I planted in the late fall, early winter. These are ones I've had here in the front, and I have 4 different kinds up here. My clematis there is not doing as great as it did last year, and that's because we didn't have much rain this winter. The one further on, that one I failed to tie it up. All the blooms are down on the ground, so if you see hoses sitting around laying on the ground, that's me getting my drip system set up. Some more, of the irises. Look at these. These purple ones. That's my purple people eater, and they're just a bazillion of them. It's great. I'm gonna have to divide them this year. They're kind of crowding out the pretty pink one in there. I'll get up closer to that in a second. We'll just kind of get an overview of the iris in the front. And the Paul Black. This is really a deeper purple than it shows on the camera, but it's still pretty nonetheless. So this is from another angle. The purple people eaters back there. I'm starting to put dahlias in these containers here where the tulips were. The tulips did beautiful. I don't think I ever got that video up. I'll put a little excerpt in here if I can find it. And then these ones, there's a mass of those too. I'll divide those. I'll get over closer so you can see the pink one because it's being swamped. Now this one right here, let me see if I can zoom in for you. That one is such a bright, it's like a touch of lavender on the falls, yellow, bright yellow in the center. Bright yellow in the center, and then the white on top, and it's just really, really pretty. That one just glows in the sunlight too. Really lovely. I have to say, my one behind, the Huckleberry Fudge, that has just been blooming from the beginning. So we're going on 2 weeks, maybe 3. And maybe this is the 3rd week. And it just is not stopping. It's doing beautiful. The one in the back, I just had one stalk. So that one needs to fill in more. But this one is going gangbusters. So I know that's a really good one for longevity of bloom. Even if it's short, things bloom short. I love irises, so it doesn't bother me a bit. By the time they're done, other things are coming into flower. I've said that before, but for anyone that's new here, I will say it again. Okay, let's get up closer to the pink one that's kind of obscured. I'm gonna have to move this purple people eater. It's right in front of it. And you see the pink one down in there? She's a pretty girl. She's not as flamboyant as many around her. I don't know if that's one of my Beverly Sills or not. I don't remember putting a pink one in here. It could be Beverly Sills. But I think I will move her. What I do is I mark on the leaves, because when they're done blooming, I don't know which one is which. So I put a mark on the leaves of their color and or name, depending on if I know it. It's not open right now very much, but that's all, folks. And it's usually really pretty white. This one's going over, but these will be open, so maybe I'll take a picture of it and insert it here so you can see how really, really pretty it is. Let's see how pretty that, can you see how pretty that one is? That is just such beautiful contrast in there. These yellow ones, they've been blooming quite a long time. I don't know if these are the ones that smell like lemon chiffon pie, but I do have had one. I don't know if I still do. A burgundy one behind it. That one I thought I had lost, so I'm thrilled that it's blooming in here. As I said before, I'm going to have to make sure I mark it because the other grape ones, many of those are going to be coming out. I don't want as many. They seem to pop up everywhere. I don't got one hiding back in there. Do you see it, that purple one? It's in the rose, and that's a different purple than all my other purples. So I need to make sure I mark that, and I'll pull it out and replant it somewhere where it's not obscured. And I have the Sultan back there. I don't know if you'd seen this yet, but I put this obelisk up here. I have that little miniature white rose that just, it's actually a ground cover rose, but it puts on such long canes. I'm going to train it up this obelisk. And I put a Clematis on that too. So I think it'll help obscure the fire hydrant from this side. The road side is still clear. I want you to see, I'm going to see if you can see. On the arbor, look at that Eden rose, doing gorgeous. It is just packed with blooms. Most of them are closed, some are slowly opening, but it's going to be a sight to see. And here's the front flower bed. Not very many iris in here. There's the black one that's called Superstition, and this pretty white one that's been blooming quite a while. I have to say I'm quite happy with it. And my roses in the front barrels are doing good. One of them's got some yellowing on the leaves, so I'm going to have to give it some iron, I think. Check out what may be wrong with it. That's the one that has my hide haul, or it is my hide haul. So a few more iris in here. Let me see. This one is an interesting coloring. Let's see if I can zoom in there. And it's kind of a peachy color, almost a subdued peach, but the beard, let's get in closer. You see that? And the beard has a little lavender on it. It's real orange, but you can see a hint of lavender right there. That just makes it so interesting. There's a hint of lavender up here too. And Silver the rooster letting you know he's doing his job. And logging truck going down the road, if you can hear that. It's a familiar sound at this time of year. And that pretty iris there. So that's pretty much it. My front porch is a mess. We're not going to look at that because that's where I've got a bunch of stuff sitting until I can get it all in place. Let's take a look at my Golden Celebration Rose. I have to say, this one, it's more of a peachy color than a yellow, but I just love it. It's just gorgeous. It seems to like this barrel. The one behind it is Graham Thomas. It's a yellower, a brighter yellow, and it's doing okay back there. Struggling a little bit, and then the hide halls are in this barrel. And then this one has Darcy Bussell and L.D. Braithwaite. All of these are David Austin roses, which they do well. David Austins grow very well for me here in the mountains. Hybrid teas do not do well for me because of our climate. My rhododendron, let's go back over there, behind the electric fencing that protects my chickens from the bears, is my beautiful rhododendron. The blooms are all facing streetwise, but I'll take it because that way when I walk around that way I can see it. So here's a view down the side garden back down towards my cottage studio. It's where I do my painting and my painting lessons. And I haven't had enough time to spend in there. I need to get in there and get some more videos taken care of for my painting followers. But it's just a gorgeous walk down this path this time of year. I love, love, love it. Now, one thing I know, a lot of people say that they, don't care for iris because they bloom such a short period of time. But if you look at my garden, it would be almost devoid of color right now just because nothing else is blooming. So even though, oh, Cleopatra, you'll leave Gardenia alone. She thinks she's gotta go chase Gardenia back to the back porch or back garden. Anyways, as I was saying, there wouldn't be a whole lot going on if it wasn't for my iris. So I get maybe a month of blooms because I have early, mid, and late blooming iris, but they just fill the garden with color when nothing else is really going on, or very little. There's something I got to show you guys. My rose along this lattice here is beginning to bloom. This is such sweetly perfumed rose. And this is called Champney's Pink Cluster, I do believe. If I've got that wrong, I'll put the right name on here. It's a vintage climber, and it's in a pot, a little pot, but it rooted through the bottom of the pot into the ground and has taken off. And I just love how it covers this. And this will bloom all summer. It has a real huge flush early in this right now, and then it'll continue sporadically if I deadhead through the summer, which I love. And that, my friends, is the iris blooming throughout the gardens. Hopefully I caught most of them that you hadn't seen yet, because you did see some in a prior couple videos. So anyways, they're really at the height that I wanted to capture them today, as I said before, because it's been pretty hot and a lot of them will be done probably by the end of this week. Or at least there'll be a lot less of them blooming. Or have fewer buds. Anyways, I just wanted you to see when it's really thick and full how gorgeous it is. So I will see you in the next. Oh, I got to show you one more thing. My Cecile Bruner rose on the chicken house. The chicken house is kind of homely, but the rose is beautiful. Okay, there it is. Just in full, glorious bloom, climbing up the chicken house. And when you are over by it, that's all you can smell. You can't even smell the chickens. So that's pretty powerful. And that is just, I love it. That thing just goes crazy. I'm thinking of putting, since it only blooms once, the Cecile Bruner, I'm thinking at the base of it down here, putting a clematis that will climb and bloom. My Warsaw Nike blooms all summer. So I'm going to find one that does like that. So then when this Cecile Bruner's done, the Clematis, however you wish to pronounce it, will take over. So that's really it this time. And I hope to see you in the next video where I'm sure I'll have more. But aren't you loving this? Poppy. Ah, just gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. I'm in love, even though I didn't want red. I don't care. It'll be a beautiful foil with this daisy's about to bloom. It is. Now that I know I'm successful with the Oriental poppies, I'm going to order some white ones. I want some white ones to put in there and bloom with the rest of my flowers. So I'll see you next time.